Welcome to Ministry in Motion, where we highlight innovative stories of faith and action in communities around the world and next door. At Tippecanoe Presbyterian Church, the doors stay open and the welcome runs deep. For more than 2 decades, the Arts and Science Literacy Camp has filled this building with children, creativity, and community. What began as a summer program to keep students learning and engaged has grown into a vibrant, inclusive space where kids of all backgrounds and abilities are welcomed, celebrated, and encouraged to thrive. But the ministry doesn't stop with children. The same church that hosts art projects and literacy lessons also opens up its doors as a warm shelter for neighbors who are houseless, offering safety, meals, and dignity when it is needed most. This video tells the story of how one congregation chose to see its building as more than a place for Sunday worship. Instead, it has become a place for the whole community, a space for learning, for refuge, and for connection. Let's take a closer look at how Tippecanoe Presbyterian Church is turning open hearts into open doors.
The more we get together, the happier we'll be, because your friends are my friends, and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. My name is Jane Borden. I am the director and lead teacher of the Arts and Science Literacy Camp. I was a teacher at Tippecanoe School, and we were noticing that students weren't reading over the summer, and they weren't engaged over the summer, so they would come back to us in the fall, like a year behind, almost a year behind. So we decided as a team, another colleague and I wanted to run a nature camp with arts integration with nature themes over the summer. I live right behind the church, so we share a fence line. I noticed the pastor outside in the backyard with a parachute working with children, and I waved. I said, "Hi, I'm Jane. I'm your neighbor. I'm wondering."
Bright eyes, rosy cheeks, twinkling smile, and 2 smooches. 2 big hugs.
I would say between 40, if we count that way, 40 students a day times 24 years at 9 weeks. Thousands. I'm sure that's in the thousands. We run our program from K3, so 3-year-olds, all the way up to 8th grade. And so we're very diverse in ethnicities, we're very diverse in socioeconomic, and we're very diverse with our special needs students. So we are attracting more neurodivergent children because it's a safe and comfortable place to be. We're all trained teachers. Art is humanity. Art is what is just showing us their creativity, their collaboration, working together, sharing things, getting excited. And when you think about literacy, whole body literacy, you think about reading, writing, listening, speaking. That would be the classroom piece, But when you're thinking about design and discussion and planning, that's all this whole body piece and moving. So we pretend that our hand is a mirror. And so I say to them, "Put your mirrors up." And I say to them, it's a call and response thing. "Good morning, gorgeous." And they say, "Good morning, gorgeous. You look amazing today." And they say, "You look amazing today." Bright eyes, rosy cheeks, cheeks, twinkling smile, give yourself a smooch, give yourself a hug, and then we're ready for the day. This church and so many other churches have such an open heart and such an open mind to expanding their borders, their boundaries, to allowing, I would say, more of a secular program to come into their building and just enhance their space. So when I look around here, I wonder what would be happening to this building if little people weren't in here and we weren't in singing and creating and painting and just everything in here. what would that building be like?
You know, we've always had a relationship with Grace. We were born from Grace, literally. I think we learn a lot about ourselves in those situations, and those have been the real surprises, getting in touch with what's important to us, and how Grace has always partnered with us. Both churches are clear that mission is very important to them. And what tends to happen is that Grace has been able to provide financial resources, and Tippy provides the people, the energy, the volunteers, that kind of thing. So you have to have both. My hope is that we will have become one community, and that we are finding ways to combine our gifts to continue to support people outside of the building. You know, it's very clear to us our building is important because it needs to be a place to gather, it needs to be safe and clean, and at the same time, the building is just an empty building without its people, and so the people are really what's important.
I think of it as a very special community of people that come together. And I don't really see a line between the people who volunteer to help, people who bring food in the evenings to feed people, or the people who come as guests. And I think that's the beauty of it, is it's a place of equals, and I think that's unusual. And I think the people who come here as guests feel that very strongly. On the surface, it's a place to stay warm in the winter from 6 o'clock at night until 8 o'clock in the morning, unless of course we have a Wisconsin hard freeze, and we try to stay open all day long so people can stay in, or at least until the library opens. People can have someplace warm and safe to go. But it goes well beyond that basic food and shelter provision. It began with people sleeping on the benches, the pews in the sacristy, and I think it operated that way for at least 2 years, and then expanded into the basement. They could serve more people.
This building is very rooted in this neighborhood. This neighborhood is comfortable and supportive of divine intervention. That is a rare thing. It's always NIMBY, not in my backyard, and that is not an issue here. I was serving a sweet little Quaker meeting house in rural New York, right outside of Rochester. This presbytery was very open-minded and kind, and I think they saw, well, Tippy is considered a little quirky, I think, and does things a little differently, and yet we feel a lot of support from the whole presbytery.
I think the use of our excess space in a facility like this, or a church like this, is a resource, and it's a resource that I will say, from what I've seen on the ground here at Divine Intervention, fills an extreme need.